In this video, I'm going to be expanding on our file I/O example I just did. The file I/O example that was done previously works really well when we're within a development environment and it's for like school or just for a test project. It doesn't work well in production. And the reason is because everything's built off relation to where the Eclipse environment is and what the project is, and we're relative to that path. In a more production environment, what's going to happen is you most likely have your code out in a directory, and you might need your configuration information in a file with that. And it's easier just pick that up and move both the configuration file and the executable together. This is a very common way to write these types of utilities. So what we're going to do is a quick review where we're at. At this point in time, you see we have our input data, and it's part of the project. If we look here at what we've done, we'll see that the input data is actually in the project directory of Eclipse. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all move it to the source directory. The reason we want it in the source directory, we want the build process to actually move it to the bin directory, so it's with the executable. You notice it's been removed from here, and if we look in the source directory, there's our file that we've been using. So what we're going to do at this point in time is we're going to modify the code so that we can actually get that path. So what we're going to do is create a variable called path, and what path is going to do is it's going to get a path to the executable, which means we have to find out where it is and everything else. So we will start with a file object, and of course the file will say, hey, it's not imported. Once again, let the IDE bring in the file for us, so we're just fine with the import. Now, this is the name of our object, main driver. So I'm going to use the main driver.class, and off of that we're going to do a .get protected domain, and then we're going to use off that get source code, or the code source, and then we'll say get location. Now, if you don't understand what all these are, you can look them up. They're not that big of a deal. It just allows us to make sure that we get all this to work. And then we're going to say to URI. And again, if you don't know what URI is, it's not necessarily that big of a deal. And then I'm going to say .get path. This will get us our path to where we need to go. Once we are done with this path will be able to resolve us all the way back to where the executable is. Now, you'll notice we have a problem here, and that's because if we cursor up, it says we have a throws we don't have declared. So what we'll do is let the IDE do it for us. We'll accept the addition of the throws because that's the best way to handle it for now. Now, at this point in time, we have the path to the fully qualified path name. Now, what I'm going to do next is we're actually going to build a path with the actual file name that we're going to use. So we're going to create a variable. We'll call it full input file, and this will be the full path to it. We'll use the object paths.get, and what we will do is we'll pass in two arguments here. The first argument is going to be the path that we just created up above, and then we're going to also use the file name that we already have, which is input f name. At this point in time, this will create a fully qualified path name to where we are going to go. I just want to do a quick toString on it, because what I want to do is make sure that it's actually a string that I can just open. Once I've got this, then all I have to do is change this input file name that we're already using to the full file name for what we want. Now, the next change will come down here where we go to create the writer. The writer is going to be very, very similar, because what we're going to do is we're going to create a very similar thing. We're going to call it full output file. And that is going to once again use the path.get, and we're going to use the get with our path that we have established up above, because we haven't got rid of it, except this time now we're going to use the output fname to create that. Now, once again, just like what we did before, we're going to replace this output file name with this. The only difference between the two of these things is that we've actually now got the fully qualified path name to the file we want. And we'll do the toString just so that we get it as a name. This makes everything work for us. Once we have all of this together, I can now run this exact project as we did before. What we're going to do here is we're going to run the project, but I want to just first of all show you in our current bin directory, which is what was here before. We have the input text file already moved because we've got it there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run a quick build. And when we go to run the file, we've got nothing here. But if we come back to the output file, you'll see in our bin directory, we have the output file. And now we can actually open this file, and we will open it with notepads just so you can see we have everything here, and it's the exact same output. It's just that it's now in the same directory as the exe. This is how you would actually do something more in a production environment. It is a little bit differently than when we do a project or doing a prototype of what we have, but it's a nice way to show how you can do something in the real world.